Hey everybody, I'm Eric Rousseau. This is the script and pilot panel from the Comedy Film Festival 2026. I'm joined today by a lot of amazing writers who are part of the script and pilot competition. Joining us, we'll kind of start to go around. I'm going to start with Elijah. Elijah, nice to see you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your project.
My name is Elijah Broughton, and I'm from Terrell, Texas. And I wrote this email, Could Have Been a Knife Fight. Basically, it was a very bad day of mine. And I was actually on my way to film with my partner, Sean Fury. And yeah, I sat in the passenger seat and I wrote it after being thrown under the bus with my corporate job. And I was so mad that I had to take that anger out and put it in the script.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think we've all been in situations like that where it's just like I have to in a tough situation with work and just have to put it out into a creative space. So that's awesome and happy to have you aboard here.
Thank you.
All right, Matthew, tell us a little bit about yourself and your project.
I'm Matthew Birch, currently live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I did live in Denton, Texas, and that's where we wrote Richard Nunez, also on here, a co-creator. We wrote that in Denton, Texas is where it started. Then I moved to New Hampshire and finished it there. But it is called Sweet Mercy. It is basically it's a Texas version or blue collar version of A Christmas Carol. It's one of my favorite stories of all time. Added a lot of comedy into it. Originally, wanted to do it as maybe a TV series. So we originally wrote pilot episode and several series episodes. So it's basically a lighthearted story, funny, about redemption, about loving your neighbor. Yeah, Richard, do you have anything to add to that? Have you figured how to come off of mute?
Matt and I met years ago back in the what is it, late 80s?
Early 80s, early 90s, yeah.
We were working at doing stand-up comedy, open mic. So we got together and we just started writing a lot. I think we started like a Dead Poet Society too, back in the day. And then we just started writing a lot. And then I wound up in Dallas, Texas. And then he came down years later from a job transfer, and we started getting together, and we would just hang out and just make each other laugh. And then he was a writer, so he would just start writing everything up. And we put a lot of stuff together. I think we got how many treatments and scripts? Maybe like 30 ideas or 30.
We got several short stories or short screenplay
like that.
Yeah,
this is one of our faves that we put together. So
awesome. Excited to talk more about that in a bit. Also joining us, we've got Phil. Phil, tell us a little bit about yourself and your project.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm Phil Riley. I'm coming from a little further afield, so I'm just outside London, England. So first of all, it's very late here, so if I sort of trailing off or staring into the middle distance, I hope you'll forgive me. My feature is called America Decides. It's a real-time fast that takes place immediately before and during a live presidential debate. I actually worked for quite a long time in politics. I'm a speechwriter professionally, so I've worked on a whole bunch of these TV debates in the UK, but I've been obsessed with American politics for an unhealthy amount of time. I'm aging myself here, but I think the first debate I watched was Bush v. Kerry, and you have to make a real effort to follow it over here. So I'm one of those sickos who'll stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning watching those primary debates where there are like 9 people on the stage shouting at each other. So yeah, it combines my my work life and my weird late night obsessions.
All right, well then I don't feel so bad that you're joining us if you're going to be up till 4 anyway. So thank you for joining us, though. Appreciate it.
Every night, but on special occasions.
And coming back after a couple-year hiatus, we got Chelsea. Chelsea, so happy to have you back. Tell us a little bit about the project this go around.
Hello, I'm Chelsea London Lloyd. I'm currently in Napa for a film festival, but I've been in Los Angeles for 15 years. And my short screenplay is called The Whole Point, where a chronically cheerful grief counselor helps kids cope with loss by comparing the hardest things in their lives, losing a parent, to their favorite thing, eating donuts. And this is based on my real experience as a comedian and volunteer grief counselor. So the short follows elementary school kids laughing about the loss of their parent, which is something that I really experience. And people are always like, what's that like? How is it funny? Of course, it's very serious. It's not funny, but it's the comedic exploration of a dark universal topic. So excited to bring it to life. And that my last screenplay that was in this 2 years ago, it just world premiered literally on Saturday. So I did actually make it, and I find screenplay competitions valuable, a vote of confidence, meet some people, and then eventually did make it. And I was told, when you go through festivals, you have to have your next thing in the pocket to talk about. So this is my next thing. So it's good timing, and excited to learn more about what everyone's working on, and yay, writing. We're doing it.
Well, we'll keep it going. Jordan, tell us a little bit about yourself and your project that you've got.
What's up? I'm Jordan Freed. I'm coming at you from Rutherford, New Jersey. I've been in and around comedy for like the last 14 years. I'm an actor, and I'm the writer of Royal Bitches, which is a screenplay about a group of 20-something children's entertainment performers who find out that they are in for a little extra party after their party.
I've got so many follow-ups. I can't wait to ask them. But before we do, lastly, we are joined by Katie. Katie, tell us a little bit about yourself and your project.
Hi. Side note, Jordan, I also have worked the New Jersey Princess Party circuit, so I'm here for this. Hi, I'm Katie Rollerson. I live in NYC, but I'm originally from St. Augustine, Florida, which is where my story takes place. My project is called Here Come the Poons. It is a mockumentary that is set in St. Augustine, Florida, and it's based off of my real life when I did reenacting. So it's about two rival reenacting groups in 2010 in St. Augustine, Florida. It's like, I'd say it's a combination of like anything that Christopher Guest has done mixed with like the Righteous Gemstones. So that's kind of the vibe.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining. This is really exciting. I think that this is always a really interesting part of the festival because, these projects, we're getting them at a point where there's a lot of excitement. Y'all are obviously ready to share them, but not quite produced yet. And so being able to talk to y'all at this point is really exciting because I know that there's a lot of polishing that has already gone on it. But like at the same time, there's still some ideas percolating. Y'all are still kind of going through, how do we actually get this made? So with that, while he's still fresh, I'm gonna hop over to Phil actually, and I just gotta like ask. Okay, you mentioned your background in politics a little bit. What is it specifically about American politics, other than the disaster that we all know about, that really interests you so much so that you're going to write a screenplay about it?
I've been kind of obsessed with all things American for a very, very long time. I followed the NFL since the early 90s. My honeymoon, we drove coast to coast across the country, so which was the first time I got to come to Texas. I work a lot with people in California, so I feel very immersed in the culture anyway. But I've always particularly liked TV debates because I feel that they're this particularly sort of high stakes moment. Like a lot of politics happens kind of passively and in the news cycle, but there's this moment. I mean, you saw it with the Joe Biden debate in the last election where, there's very few times in politics where all eyes are on this one moment. And like, I've been obsessed. I really love farces generally. I love the sort of front of house, back of house sort of things. So I think when I was a kid, I watched Noises Off, the musical, and like it flicked a switch in my head. But growing up watching sitcoms like Frasier, or even more recently like The Studio, there's so many great sort of farces, and it's a sort of comedy that I love. So I thought you had this with TV debates. You not only have this sort of high stakes moment that can play out in real time, but you also have that front of house, back of house dynamic. And yeah, I love everything about it. So I thought I had to set something there.
So talking politics, and I feel like, honestly, the thing that is so political without being politics is corporate America. And so, Elijah, I'm really curious to dive in a little bit more to your story, because I feel like I'm listening to Phil and I'm just like, yeah, that's also like corporate America as well. So like, I mean, does any of that resonate with you? Any of that Phil was mentioning inspire kind of what you were going after?
Yeah, I feel like it's politics and always trying to get on top. Someone's always out to get somebody. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm there to work. I'm there to get a paycheck so I can afford to make movies with other filmmakers. So, I'm not saving lives or anything. So I go to my job and I do my job. But there's people out in the corporate industry that, want to step on others to get to the top, things of that nature. And that was, in a sense, me. I feel like I'm a artist that is stuck in a 9-to-5 because I do have a family that I have to, afford a life for and things of this nature. And I do have to afford my hobbies. And they see that. And so they like to attack me and come after me sometimes, but it's okay, because at the end of the day, as artists, whatever gets you down, you can go home, create something new. But also the bad guys of your day can be the bad guys in your film, and they never have to know. But other than that, it's just, I feel, in corporate, it does take down from your creativity. That time that you're in the office is taken away from things being created. And also that day, that traveling, that whole day drains your full creativity. So it's a lot when it comes to corporate America. And I'm going to be also honest, this is my first screenplay. This person made me so mad that I had to go out and write my very first screenplay and get it out there.
This may be your first screenplay, but don't you also have a produced film in the festival as well? Is that right?
I actually directed the eulogy.
Oh, you directed? Okay.
Yes, sir. I have been directing for a few years, and I've never really written anything. I used to kind of just write outlines, and I studied with a bunch of filmmakers throughout the circuit, festival circuits that I went to, sent them screenplays and got feedback. And as I said earlier, I was on my way to film a movie with our team, and I just had to sit 6 hours with all the knowledge that I gained from everybody, 6 hours in the passenger seat, and just type all my anger away. I did not intend for this to be a comedy, but everybody thought it was funny.
Just curious, while we've got you, anything that you want to say about the eulogy? We're really thrilled. It doesn't always happen. It's kind of a rarity, but and this is also interesting because we have completely separate panels of judges, juries, whatever you want to say, that do the script competition and do the films. So complete coincidence that you're associated with two projects here. Tell us a little bit about the eulogy while we have you.
So the eulogy is just, I'll be honest as well, it's a 48-hour film festival project. We got together. The prop, I believe, was a balloon. And my film partner, Sean Fury, and also his writing partner for this one, Nathan Westfall, I remember a joke came up in the writing room of, imagine two older women with a balloon in front of a tombstone, and the balloon says, "Get well soon." And the jokes started rolling in from there. We just wrote it, and we had an amazing team that we always work with. They came in, they knocked it out, and it's a beautiful project. And I would say in this time of my life, I actually filmed this beforehand, but I actually lost my brother during the festival circuit of this movie before the eulogy. After the eulogy. And I feel like going on the circuit and meeting festival, other filmmakers and festival directors And sharing this story, this comedy of grief, has changed me. Even though we wrote this before its passing, this movie has changed me after. So
obviously very sorry for your loss. Yeah, that's devastating. And thank you for sharing this work with us. I feel like, sometimes we're having these conversations and then like a natural kind of bridge occurs. And so, Chelsea, both of your projects that have been associated with the Comedy Film Fest, they revolve around grief. Tell us a little bit more about, this project, how it differs, and like also similar themes that you're tackling. And I don't know if maybe you were in a different place, even though they're both grief related.
Yes, and I'm excited to see the eulogy, Elijah, because I'm a big grief girl, grief advocate, grief person. I mean, we all grieve in different ways. But yeah, so the differences of the projects and the places I'm in, to be concise. So my project that just started the festival circuit that's been made, Life is a Short within a short, why we make art through the lens of grief. This girl's like, I'm never gonna talk about this on camera, and then she does, and it's a short within a short, and it's an industry slant, so it's gonna relate to artists who've been rejected. It's me getting rejected throughout the last decade while losing my dad to ALS, and there is a scene where I say goodbye to my dad, recreating what happened 10 plus years ago. So that's more me. The whole point is a lot about kids. So it's a totally different element of grief. However, it's actually pretty intense. There's a twist where you learn why, and maybe but not everyone else knows. But the grief counselor, basically who I'm playing, is like overly cheerful, overly chatty, and she's like not good at her job. But you find out why through a loss of her own that I can't say what happened. People have to find out. But it's just, kids are cute, and it's I think the place that I'm in that's different is like the last project I could cast all my friends, and hired some people and gave offers to actors. But like with kids, it's just like I feel like this is going to be a more challenging project in a sense of like using a cast director, getting kids that can hold space to talk about breast cancer, homicide, suicide, and some of them are like 6 years old. And again, in my real life, I am comfortable having those conversations, but this will be different working with actors. There will be a mental health coordinator and a lot of protective layers around kids through the audition process. But it's LA. Kids have died on screen that I've already started interviewing. They're like, it's okay, I can do it. I've already died, Chelsea. And you're like, oh my gosh. So I think this will be like challenging for the kids, and it's a different way in. I like to explore different ways, and it's more contained than one location. My last show was like tons of locations. So yeah, it's just a different thing. We'll see how it goes.
You're kind of going about this in one way, the comedic side of it, and what this effect is with kids. Very different. Jordan, you have another film that has some elements where you've got kids involved. Very, very different, though. How did you said that you actually had done princess parties? So were you Prince Charming? Is that what was going on?
I played some nondescript characters from fairy tales. I don't want to incriminate myself at all. There's a lot of trademarks and things in the world, so I don't want to draw too much attention to myself in the real world. But yeah, I used to do that and still do it occasionally, when it fits into my schedule. I have a great friend who runs a company, and yeah, we are both actors, creative types, and like, I don't know, it just seemed like such an absurd world that I think a lot of people don't have a lot of insight into. I'm sure Katie agrees with that. It's very odd to be like an entertainer for like children, but like you're really trying to get the affection of the parents and like make the parents happy. So like you're not just making the kids happy, you're trying to make the adults happy. And yeah, there's kind of this like intergenerational thing that I really wanted to bring out in the screenplay about how like these kids are having like the best day of their lives. Like it is a magical day for all these kids, and like they think that these actual characters from these fairy tales and movies that they've watched their whole life are actually there in person. And like then you have the other end of the spectrum where it's like these parents who like might not have had a lot growing up, and they are just trying to create this magic for their kids. And then the people performing it are people who are like struggling in their lives and don't even know what they're doing, but these kids are looking at them like idols and heroes and like larger than life figures. So I figured it was a good place to write about just being in that in-between point of your life where you don't have kids and you're not a kid. And like, what is your place in the world when you don't have kids in this like world that's very much about family oriented things? It's like the only jobs I could get out of college, and still to this day, so many of my jobs and gigs that I've had are centered around kids, because those are the only things that people spend money on. It's like I've videotaped like lacrosse tournaments, I've taught kids comedy and made way more money than I've ever gotten paid doing comedy. So yeah, I think it was a weird time in my life, and now I'm a little bit older than like when I was living that experience. And yeah, I think it also like just deals a lot with the things that we deal with as independent filmmakers, like how IP takes over the world, and like everybody wants to make something that's already popular, and they don't really want to give an opportunity to things that aren't popular already. So I tried to embody all of those things in the script.
And on that note, and I know we already established Jordan and Katie, there's like a similar kind of background. There's this world of reenactment, Katie, that your project is all about. Obviously, you know, pulling from personal experiences there. Either themes that Jordan was mentioning, or you know, ones that were specific to you know, your own upbringing in Florida. Like, what went into that for this project?
So I grew up doing like reenacting, which is super nerdy, and like it didn't occur to me like while I was doing it, and then like I like got older and was like, my God, like this is like Jesus. So that alone, I'm like, that's a theme in itself. But it's the type of reenacting that I did was like extremely specific. And so I made the stuff in my script equally as specific. But like most people think of like reenactors and it's like Civil War, like Revolutionary War or something. And the crazy stuff I did, which is like parallel, like kind of the same in my script, is that if you can prove that your ancestors were some of the original Spanish settlers of St. Augustine, Florida, you can be a part of this very prestigious reenacting group. So I base it off of that, and like just the weirdos, like similar to like what Jordan was saying. It's like this weird in between of like, it's this crazy group of people. There's a lot of people who are like in the similar stage where it's like they don't have kids, they're not married. And then there are kids involved. And there's also like older people involved, because I mean, reenacting, it's a community-based thing, so it includes a lot of different types of people, but it also pulls, it's like, I guess like community theater, like it's amazing, but it also tends to pull in a lot of weird people sometimes. So it's like a wacky group of crazy people that end up doing this thing, and they have this really great shared experience, even though they all come from very different places. And I feel like, similar to what Jordan was saying, like how like there are certain parents who like necessarily couldn't have afforded to like, you know, like they didn't grow up with those means or anything. It's very similar, like how the protagonists in my script, they're all underdogs. And I think like I'm attracted to stories about underdogs, so I feel like that was why I wanted to write one about one too.
The idea of this taking place in St. Augustine is so interesting, because if I remember correctly, St. Augustine is like the oldest city in North America. Is that right?
That is correct. Yeah.
So there's like so much like, history there. There's so much kind of like, lore, and I think it's, also up there as like one of the most like haunted cities, if I remember correctly.
That too. Yep. Yeah. That actually is all like I have a lot of like ghost tour, like making fun of all of that stuff in the pilot as well. Because I mean it's all there and I'm like, I feel like it's half of it's based in truth with like half dose of like extreme fantasy that I added in to make it, my brand of humor.
So lastly, Matthew and Richard, I'm just so curious from, what y'all were talking about, the relationship that y'all built. I'm just curious, like, I think you mentioned something like 30 projects that y'all have worked on together over the years. What stands out about this one? Like, what makes it so different, and, that you've been pursuing this one as of late?
So this is the epic accomplishment here, right? And it was a very unwise decision at the time, especially back in 2008, I think is when it started. And it's a movie with tons of special effects, animals, children, right? Everything you don't want in your first script, right? But go for it, right? We wanted to write what we wanted to write, so that's how it was winter time and we're sitting there, hunting season has just started up, and we started talking about well, I wonder what the deer's thinking out there. What's we know the hunter's perspective, right? What's the deer? So that's kind of how it started, where maybe we get this guy that is not real kind to animals, right? And his nemesis is an armadillo, and he's trying to rid the world of the armadillo one day and accidentally blows himself up and finds himself at heaven's gates, right? And they said, well, you're not ready for admission yet, but we are going to give you a second chance. We're going to send you back as an animal, right? And he goes through a series of animals, and each time learns some life lessons, but we always interject humor, right? We want to deliver it with humor. And it's, the things I tend to write have a deeper meaning, maybe sometimes a spiritual meaning, but not, I want an atheist or a Christian or a Muslim or anyone to enjoy the story and come out of it thinking, I want to be a better citizen of Earth, right? I want to be a good neighbor. I want to be kind to animals and so on, right? So that's packaged up similarly to Christmas Carol. Like I said, it's just kind of a moral story with lots of laughs.
My sweet friend Matt, he's a pure writer. He went to school for it. He went to Purdue for it.
Yeah.
And I never got to go to college or anything like that. I just became I'm an artist by trade. That's all I do. And I started doing that full time 20 years ago. But we've traveled a lot. We've been in situations where they crack me up. I don't know how we went.
Sorry to interject, but I think we met Jordan once. We were stuck in a traffic jam in New York City, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and there was a guy dressed up in a full garb clown suit, pissed off because he's missing his gig, right? And he's smoking, chucking butts out the window. But anyway, sorry, Richard, go ahead.
No, that's fine. That's one of those things.
That's one example.
We had just come from Tribeca. We were at Tribeca Film Festival for Jason Epps. He had a film there, so we went there. We supported him, and then we were leaving. It was like serious traffic jam.
Yeah.
So it's like, and it was funny, man. That was a funny situation.
As we're starting to wrap up here, couple last things. First, just kind of want to go around and see, what's coming up next. Are you all making this project, going on to another project? Always curious about that, especially at this stage. Elijah, let's start with you.
Gonna hopefully make this project. Right now we're in the festival circuit with The Eulogy and another film we did called The Hard Way, and we're actually filming another film this weekend, so stay tuned for that.
Awesome. Phil, tell us a little bit about America Decides, or is there something else you're working on?
Yeah, well, actually, since literally in the last couple of weeks, I was pitching a new feature that I've written called Panic, and and it attracted the attention of a manager, and I've just managed to get myself repped for the first time. So that's literally come together in the last couple of weeks. So I'm actually trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to write next. But yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
going
That's a really good problem to be in. So congrats, Phil.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Chelsea, tell us a little bit about what's next. I know you got a film that you're already representing. Are you making this one, working on something else?
Yeah, similar to Elijah got one, in the circle. Maybe we'll be at the same festival, Elijah. Who knows? So that like just premiered. So hopefully it'll be at festivals throughout this year. So there'll be a bit of travel. I got a grant to make a Jewish vertical comedy that I'm writing, directing called Messy Essie, where Queen Esther from the Bible comes to modern times. Is dating as an influencer. So I have a deadline for that. So I have to shoot that next month, which is overwhelming. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a big one. So that's coming. It's 15 like 1 to 2 minute episodes. And then once that is shot and in the can, then I will be shooting The Whole Point. I'm in this lab called the Pink Among Men Lab. It's its first year where they're helping like aspiring and actual writer directors in a 6 to 8 month program. They have a scholarship available. Definitely recommend checking them out for their future labs. So that just started. You either have to complete the short or come up with a very thorough and extensive plan. And I actually was like, okay, I think I'm just gonna do the plan. Like can't even comprehend like doing this right now. And then I actually sight unseen someone watched my short and said, can I help you fund your next short? Do you have something? And I said, yeah, I'll send you the materials. He's like, no, I saw your short. Like, I'll help you. When are you shooting? And so I was like, September. So, I hope the inspiration of that's like truly one of the most wild things that's ever happened to me. I'm like super grateful. But what I hope that takeaway is like, just make things because art is subjective. I think my short is good. We all think our stuff is good, but it's not for everyone. But it's like there's so many barriers to entry, or it's going to be too expensive, or it's going to be too confusing, it's going to be too this. Like it took a long time. I'm glad I did it. I made it, and like someone liked it. And there are people out there that want to help, that can fund things. I think a lot of ours, like it's so expensive, and it is, but like let's connect with people that can help us. And I think we can meet people who know people at festivals and online. But I don't know, I'm excited for all of us writing and festivaling, and if people want to connect with me online here or that see this interview, I'm very active on the socials. So Chelsea London Lloyd, and happy to share info and learn about what others are doing. Long-winded, but yes, this will be shooting in 2026 somehow because I told someone.
I mean, that's such a great message, Chelsea. So I'm happy that you went long-winded. That was perfect. It was great.
Thank you. I respect people who are concise working on it. I don't know if it's me, but that's a good skill if you can do that. Also, shout out to Katie. We have a similar vibe. Look at her, like our hoops are black. I'm like, we're in the right energy together. All right, I'm done.
Well, let's throw it over to Katie. Katie, are you going to be working on this project? Are you going to focus on something else? What's next for you?
This project is like my main focus. This is the first thing I've ever written. So yeah, so I'm like, everything is like, now I'm like, okay, cool. Like Chelsea, you said so many good things. So I'm like, okay, God, like I'm like trying to find people and grants and money and like trying to get everything together and like a timeline and a button, like doing all this stuff. And it's very overwhelming. But it's good to know that there are a lot of resources out there. You just have to hunt. But yeah, I'm like, my goal, I'm like, I got to get it made. So I'm like, I wrote it for myself because I was like, oh, I'm not seeing, or I'm not able to do like the stuff that I want to do. So I'm like, I'm going to make it myself. So I'm like, now I got to do it.
That's always the thing that they say, write stuff for yourself. So that's great. Happy that you're doing it. You're making it happen. Jordan, tell us a little bit about what's next. Are you going to try to pursue this? Are you going to work on something else? Back to princess parties? What's going on?
So I actually have a script that I co-wrote with writing partner Brendan O'Brien called Blur's Day that is set to shoot in August, and that's about a band that's putting on their Blur's Day music festival. It's a stoner comedy set in New Jersey. It's going to be directed by Rob Shiano. So that's kind of the big thing that's on my radar. Hopefully hanging around a little bit in August when they're shooting that. And then outside of that, yeah, Royal Bitches, I want to shop around with some other projects that I have and kind of see if I could get anybody sniffing around to fund it, or yeah, just be ready with that and try to shoot whatever is the most low budget feature out of the scripts I kind of have in my portfolio right now.
Hell yeah.
Also planning to do a comedy tour, so hoping to come down to Austin at some point in the fall or maybe later winter.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Definitely hit us up when you're making the rounds. And also love the other project that that you're working on. That sounds so cool. And I love the mentality of like, shoot whatever you can, whatever you can make right now. Like, that's absolutely the way to do it. Very, very cool. All right. So Matthew and Richard, you know, is this the project that we're gonna like, you know, move forward with? You mentioned maybe there's some, you know, action happening with other projects. What's next for you?
Yeah. So one of the things I did with the screenplay, I wanted to get some feedback. It's too expensive to even film like a trailer, right, with all the special effects. So I converted it into a book, right, and I got it out to several people. It's, you know, it's not, I'm not promoting it to get on New York Best Times or anything like that. So so I got some feedback, and a lot of people said, you know, is there more to this? Is there more? Do you have a sequel, right? So, and I've always struggled with the story as it was. How can I do a sequel? I'm sorry, I got an interruption there. I recently figured out, I inserted a scene, and it may not even be in the version that you have. There's a scene about 3/4 of the way through that blows the doors wide open for a sequel for it. So that's always an option. And I know, you know, what sort of things I'd like to tie into that. I do have another feature that's completed, and it was actually in pre-production a couple years back, but then the producers got into a fight about talent, right? One, you know, they couldn't agree on the talent for it, so it's stalled. I don't know if it'll ever come back or not, but yeah, I've always got stories. I mean, I watch TV with my wife and my dog, and I'll pause the TV show, and my wife is like, you know, where did you come up with what you just said, right? Because I'll say something completely different from what we've been watching on TV, right? Because my brain is always thinking of seeing something and then twisting it into a different story or something. So I've got a lot of stuff in my head to pour out onto the page.
A lot. Yeah, the one trendsetter.
Yeah. So I do. Jason Epperson, there was a show On the Lot. It was on for one season, Steven Spielberg back in the day, and he was the runner-up. He lives in Kentucky, and he has an advertising agency, so I write some commercials for him. And Richard and I put together a Doritos commercial for the Super Bowl that we hope to at some point film with him.
Well, I know that we are out of time, so I'm so happy that y'all are able to join me from all over the place. Really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate y'all submitting to the Comedy Film Fest in the first place. We really do value these works. Really know that the writing process is, hey, that's where it all starts, right? And this is so special to be able to share this time with all of you. I really appreciate it. And for those watching, these are all projects part of the Comedy Film Festival Script and Pilot Competition 2026. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.